Incredible discovery. Billionaire uncovers a black girl in chains and transforms her life forever. Alex Harper stood at the edge of the woods, balmy winds rustling through the trees, his usual drive for innovation overshadowed by an unfamiliar weight. Could wealth translate to purpose? His affluent life felt detached from the deep-rooted passions that once ignited his spirit. As CEO of a thriving tech company in a small Midwestern town, he had achieved more than most could dream of. Yet here he was, silent in his thoughts, contemplating the true meaning of accomplishment. Walking aimlessly, he stumbled upon a decrepit cabin, overgrown with vines, a remnant of a past left behind. Driven by a sudden urge, he entered. Inside that dimly lit space, he found her, Maya, a 12-year-old girl locked away in the shadows of her own reality. Black and wise beyond her years, she was trapped within an old, rusted chain, her eyes flickering with defiance against the neglect imposed by a corrupt foster system. The sight struck Alex like jagged glass, shattering any remnants of his complacency. In an instant, his life's framing shifted from the dollar signs to a visceral urgency. The need to help this remarkable soul claim her future. As he learned Maya's harrowing story, doubts twisted inside him, gnawing at the moral dilemma that surged forth. Did he owe it to his privilege to fight for her? Or would aiding someone like her only amplify the chasm separating them? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Thus began the whirlwind of late-night science experiments in his lavish home. They sparkled with the latest technology, yet every laugh felt heavy with an undercurrent of uncertainty. What would his peers think? The cabal of elite socialites painted him as a savior, but muttered behind closed doors, questioning his motives for embracing a nobody. Intent on steering Maya towards a brighter future, he struggled to balance his commitment alongside the expectations suffocating him. A complex game of chess where every move could cost him significantly. As Maya began to flourish academically, he witnessed the fight within her to rise above her traumatic past. Still, whispers of betrayal loomed as dark secrets from her previous life threatened to resurface. Would the very people who profited from her suffering come to reclaim what they believed was theirs? The gnawing anxiety gripped Alex's heart, a constant reminder of their predicament. Was he risking his fortune, status, and safety for just one girl? The gnashing between his conscience and his reality tore at him, and he longed for the absolution he never seemed to find in boardrooms filled with accolades. As they prepared to confront the system that had wronged Maya, the distance between Alex's luxurious existence and her harsh reality couldn't have felt broader. Could he be the hero she believed he could be, standing against powerful figures who manipulated lives for profit? An unraveling dread tightened in his chest, bending him beneath its weight. They stood at a precipice, the hidden truths of her life creeping ever closer as shadows inhaled the light. What would happen when the time came to face those who had wronged her the most? Could he step forward? Or would he retreat into the gilded cage made by his wealth? The question writhed as he reached for Maya's hand, the suffocating tension around them coiling tighter with every heartbeat, leaving them both poised for a revelation that could change everything. The weeks that followed were a blur of discovery, both for Maya and Alex. As they delved deeper into her situation, the layers of complexity revealed themselves, stretching beyond the confines of her physical chains. Each session together, whether it be in the study, surrounded by textbooks and scientific models, or in quiet moments discussing her dreams, was a battle against the shadows of her past. For every step she took into the light, the darker memories clawed at her heels, forcing her to confront demons she couldn't quite name. Maya's academic ascent was remarkable, each achievement a testament to her resilience. But it came with a price as unspoken traumas lingered, surfacing unexpectedly during the quiet moments of their study sessions. Alex felt himself navigating uncharted waters. His heart raced with admiration for her tenacity, yet he also felt the cold grip of fear. Would her past define her future? Would he be able to shield her from the very forces that had wronged her? Gallery calls and boardroom meetings felt increasingly trivial. Alex had initially sought the distraction of success, but now it haunted him. Each handshake and congratulatory smile felt like a betrayal of his growing commitment to Maya. In the mornings, he found himself bracing against the weight of expectation, scaling the heights of corporate responsibility, only to return home, where reality awaited him. The stark difference between his golden realm and the struggles that Maya faced was a widening chasm of moral dissonance. One night, as they sat around a makeshift table cluttered with notes and books, Alex observed Maya's quiet determination as she focused on a science project that ignited her curiosity. In that moment, a realization dawned on him. He had to be more than just a benefactor in her life. If he truly wanted to be her ally, he needed to empower her beyond their current confines. This was a collaborative journey, not a patron-client relationship. Inspired, he resolved to draw upon his resources to help her reclaim not just her education, but her agency. This plan began with a proposal to establish a scholarship in her name, a chance for other children in similar situations. But as he drafted plans and calculated projections, the trepidation crept back in. This initiative would require him to face the very institution that had failed Maya. The stakes were higher than he had anticipated. If he failed, would their partnership withstand the fallout? During a late-night brainstorming session, an unforeseen revelation struck him. In his quest to draft a way to combat the system, he realized he was overlooking a crucial component: Maya's voice. She deserved to shape her narrative. Her perspective was key to the reform they sought. As he sat across from her, he sensed a palpable anticipation mingling with anxiety. It was time for an honest conversation. "Maya," he started tentatively, "what do you think needs to change? If you could create a program for kids like you, what would it look like?" In her gaze, he saw flickers of hope, vulnerability, and conviction. What might come next could redefine them entirely, pushing beyond mere survival into a realm of active fight for their rights. The silence hung thick between them, charged with possibility. Could she find the courage to express her desires against an imposing system? Would Alex follow through on his newfound commitment, risking everything he held dear for the sake of both their futures? The moment hung on a knife's edge, both of them knowing that whatever decision arose from their discussions would shape the trajectory of their lives forever. Maya's heart raced as she considered Alex's question. The weight of her past felt lighter in the atmosphere, heavy with unspoken potential. She had spent so much time being molded by the systems that constrained her, but here was a chance to be the architect of her own future. Yet the anxiety plagued her. Who was she to propose something that could alter the paths of so many? Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to focus. "If I could create a program," she began, her voice steadying as she felt the safe cocoon of Alex's unwavering gaze. "I'd want it to be a space where kids like me could access real resources, not just academic tools, but life skills. A place to learn about finances, emotional health, and just how to navigate the world." Each word brewed fresh determination within her. She could feel the ghost of her past softening, the chains of self-doubt loosening their hold as she outlined her vision. "We can engage mentors from different fields, people who have faced their own struggles and want to pass on their knowledge." Alex leaned in, captivated. His mind was churning, imagining the implications of her thoughts. What if we feature real stories of resilience? Not just success stories, but the painful and challenging journeys. Maya's confidence grew as she spun her ideas into tangible notions. We could create workshops, bring in guest speakers, incorporate arts and sciences to empower them creatively. In that moment, something shifted. They were no longer just a benefactor and a student. They were co-collaborators, driven by a shared vision. "What about the scholarship?" Alex interjected, intrigued. "How can we weave that into your program?" "Every child should have the chance to pursue education without being burdened by economic pressures," Maya answered without hesitation. The scholarship could fund participants. It would symbolize hope, a reminder that their backgrounds do not dictate their futures. The profound clarity of her aspirations ignited a spark in Alex. It dawned on him how transformative this could be, not just for Maya, but for an entire community of overlooked children. Yet with that realization came a wave of trepidation. Setting this all in motion meant confronting powerful adversaries who had built the very systems he now wished to change. The security of his corporate world felt frail in the face of the ambition they were contemplating. As their conversation deepened, Alex began drafting points on a napkin from the table. The tension between his existing life and this passionate route sparking before him became a chaotic tug-of-war within. He could picture the resistance, the doubters, the threats to his career. But he knew that supporting Maya could mean sacrificing his comfort, stepping out of the shadows of his privilege, and into a fight that could galvanize her spirit and empower others like her. "Maya," he said, taking a deep breath and steadying his resolve. "This program, your vision, it will take courage from both of us, and there will be pushback. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that." As he spoke those words, he felt vulnerable, exposed. Yet intertwined with that fear was a flicker of determination sparking within him. He was ready to explore this new dimension of himself, even if it meant battling the institutional forces that once made him comfortable. Maya's expression shifted subtly as she met his vulnerability with understanding, realizing that this partnership was more than she anticipated. It was an evolution for both of them, requiring bravery and collaboration amidst uncertainty. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "I'm ready to step forward, even if my voice trembles." Alex's heart swelled with admiration as he took in her unwavering resolve. "Then we face it together," he insisted, their alliance solidifying in that brief moment. With newfound clarity, they mapped out the next steps, the air around them buzzing with intention. Yet, as the plans broadened and their ambitions grew, an unsettling thought emerged within the labyrinth of possibility. Would their ideas remain enough to dismantle the chains of a broken system? The tension hung palpably as a familiar dread sank in. The moment of truth was fast approaching. The real test loomed on the horizon, the confrontation with those who had upheld their shattered pasts. Was this truly the beginning of a new journey, or would it expose cracks in their fragile alliance? Only time would reveal their fate. Maya sat at the edge of her bed, mind racing as she stared at the blank wall in front of her. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden hue across her small room. The weight of the world felt palpable, pressing down on her chest as she replayed her conversation with Alex over and over. This idea, this program meant more than anything she had ever dreamed of, yet doubt crept in uninvited, casting shadows over her ambition. She took a deep breath and grabbed a journal from her nightstand, flipping through pages bursting with sketches and notes. It was a testament to her journey, filled with hopes and fights against the predestined narratives crafted for girls like her. She hesitated before writing, recalling her fragile past, a tapestry woven with neglect and struggle. But Maya was no longer that girl. This was the moment to redefine herself, to claim her position as an advocate. What if I fail? She scribbled the words across the page, her hand trembling slightly. The question felt heavy, but it came with a flicker of resistance. Each time failure whispered in her ear, it also ignited a fire. She wasn't looking to become a martyr, but rather a beacon of hope for others. That had to count for something. In that instant, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the mirror. There she was, young, determined, a little scared. But she was also fierce. Maya clenched her jaw, welcoming that conviction into her heart. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about countless children who felt lost in the shadows of systemic failures. She felt a surge of purpose, igniting her passion once more. The course was laid, and there would be no turning back. Driving herself to consider the path ahead, she pulled out her phone and called her younger brother, Jamal. He had always been her touchstone, the one person who could ground her amidst uncertainty. Their shared experiences had forged an unbreakable bond, and now, she needed him more than ever. "Hey, Maya, what's up?" Jamal answered, his tone casual, yet she sensed the enthusiasm underlining his voice. "Jamal, listen closely. I have an idea, but I need your help." Their conversation meandered through possibilities and innovations, each idea igniting the next. The more they discussed, the clearer the vision grew. Jamal may have been younger, but his creativity and insight offered fresh perspectives. Together, they shared a rhythm, bouncing ideas back and forth until their laughter filled the void of self-doubt that had hung in the air earlier. But as they plotted their course, a larger question loomed on Maya's horizon. How would they confront the existing structures that opposed them? As she hung up, the sense of optimism amidst uncertainty solidified within her. She caught a glimpse of tomorrow, holding the promise of change, yet tainted with the reality that challenges lay ahead. Days turned into weeks as Maya and Alex prepared, mobilizing resources and strategizing. They immersed themselves in community studies, understanding the real lives impacted by educational negligence. Yet somewhere at the back of her mind, the anxiety thrummed continuously. For every solution they developed, a specter of criticism loomed overhead, those who would doubt their efficacy, reminding her that change never came easy. One evening, as they gathered in Alex's office, surrounded by pamphlets and ideas scrawled on whiteboards, the air turned electric. Alex's passion flickered along with Maya's growing determination, inviting the strength they would need to fuel their cause. "Remember," Alex stated, leaning against the desk, "this is about more than the program. It's about shifting the narrative, shifting how we're perceived." Her heartbeat intensified as she processed his words. With every part of her doubting the risks involved, she felt the insistence to push through. "Right," Maya agreed, but one heavy weight remained, the truth yet to emerge. How would they face the reality of pushback, the risk of failing her vision? Would her resolve withstand the threats from those who thrived in the status quo? As uncertainty loomed larger, she found herself standing at the precipice of resolve and vulnerability. The stakes were high, and the impending confrontation with powerful adversaries filled her with a rush of adrenaline. And there, as plans solidified and the foundation of a dream was laid, the dawn of realization struck her. The fight ahead would redefine her not only as a leader, but potentially as a target. She turned to Alex, her voice steady yet trembling with anticipation. "It's time to prepare for the fight of our lives." But within that bold statement lay an unyielding truth. Were they truly ready to confront the forces that would inevitably resist them? The weeks melted away amidst the whirlwind of preparation, Maya's life becoming a tapestry of late nights and fervent discussions. Each moment traversed a tightrope between hope and fear, her resolve precariously balanced as the anticipated confrontation loomed. Every deep breath was a blend of exhilaration and trepidation, a constant reminder of the stakes involved. One night, under the artificial glow of office lights, Maya sat across from Alex, their eyes locked in a shared determination. Yet, beneath her fierce exterior, nestled a tremor of vulnerability. "What if we're not ready for this?" she blurted, the words escaping her before she could reel them back. Alex leaned forward, sincere concern shadowing his face. "Maya, doubt is part of the process. It doesn't mean we won't succeed. It means we are aware of the risks. Her heart raced. He treated her fears as a natural part of their journey. That perspective was empowering, yet the nagging questions persisted. What if our approach isn't enough? What if they dismantle everything we're trying to build? Then we adapt, he countered, his voice steady. But we have to trust our vision. You especially. This isn't just about winning a battle. It's about reshaping lives. She nodded, yet uncertainty churned in her gut. In that moment of quiet, she opened her notebook, flipping through sketches that represented dreams and ambitions. Here lay her passion, represented by ink that could guide her through storms, yet the picture felt incomplete. "Can I tell you something?" Maya began, heart heavy with honesty. "Sometimes I still see the girl who was told she wouldn't amount to anything, that she'd never break the cycle." An understanding flickered in Alex's eyes. "That girl led you to this moment. Those stories shape leaders. It's not a weakness, it's a strength." Empowered yet shaken, Maya couldn't ignore the complex weave of her identity. It was her life experiences that fueled her passion, transforming personal turmoil into a collective potential. The pieces were falling into place, but the challenge ahead remained daunting. She spent endless nights envisioning strategies, each plan emerging from the raw materials of her lived experience. One morning, a realization crystallized. She could rally voices, echoing the pain and aspirations of others like herself. Their stories would become a weapon, her weapon. Infused with rejuvenated energy, Maya initiated a round of meetings, gathering voices from within the community. Each encounter further expanded her understanding of the struggles children faced, igniting her sense of purpose even stronger. Establishing connection felt electric. It breathed life into her and lent clarity to her mission. At one gathering, a single mother spoke of her daughter's failure to receive adequate support, her resolve mirroring Maya's own. "It's not just my child," the woman remarked, tears glistening. "It's every child who deserves a fair shot." This sentiment echoed through Maya's mind long after they parted. The strength surrounding her fortified her desire to fuel powerful change, but amidst the positive momentum, faint whispers of doubt nagged at her consciousness. What if she failed them all? What if her passion wasn't enough against the wall of resistance built by competitors and systemic inertia? Maya clenched her hands, vowing that she wouldn't allow fear to snuff out the fire ignited within. A turning point arrived when a local committee meeting was announced, the very gathering where opposition could surface. Maya sought Alex, their eyes locking in a conspiratorial determination. "We need to present our vision there, connect with the decision-makers, provoke change, and counter the naysayers head-on." "Then let's do it," Alex replied, unacceptable to take their momentum lightly. "This is our moment." But just as exhilaration filled her, a scent of fear lingered. Were they prepared to face the scrutiny? The question weighed heavily, resonating like an uninvited guest. Yet, buried within that fear was an unfathomable strength, pushing Maya toward the precipice of her transformation. The time had come to face them, Maya whispered to herself, her voice resolute. She would not just confront adversaries, she would redefine what success meant in the fight for those children, launching her into a realm that would ultimately reveal if she truly possessed the courage to transform the status quo of their lives. A daunting yet exhilarating leap that awaited her at the committee meeting, and when the moment came, would she stand strong, or would the looming shadows pull her back into doubt? Maya's heart thrummed violently against her ribs as she entered the committee meeting. The sterile walls of the conference room seemed to close in, a stark contrast to the vibrant dreams she had sketched on her pages. The faces of the committee members were resolute, unfathomable masks guarding their intentions. She felt the weight of their expectations pressing down, a tangible force threatening to suffocate her resolve. With a deep breath, she positioned herself at the forefront, pushing the tide of anxiety into a hidden corner of her mind. "This is my moment," she repeated inwardly, willing her voice to remain steady. The familiar screen of her notes was comforting, but clenching the printed pages wouldn't be enough. She would have to embody the passion that sparked within her just weeks ago. As discussions unfolded, Maya began listening more than speaking. Powerful figures elevated their voices, dismissing change with comfortably rehearsed cynicism. Some pointed fingers at statistics that painted a bleak picture of outreach initiatives, while others demanded evidence of success that, according to them, simply did not exist. Doubt flickered like a candle in a storm, threatening to extinguish the light she sought to spread. Then, a voice rumbled from one of the committee heads, an imposing figure with a veneer of authority. "What do you propose that we haven't already tried? What makes you think your approach is any different?" His words echoed in the chamber, landing heavy in the air. Maya's throat tightened, silence descending as she wrestled with self-doubt alive inside her. She knew the stakes, the weight of every life her ideas could touch, but a part of her fought against a familiar instinct to shy away from confrontation. That same instinct had kept her quiet for years. "I can't let fear take over," she whispered inwardly, channeling every single voice she had gathered over the weeks. In an instant, her thoughts crystallized. "It's different because it is rooted in lived experiences. I stand here not just as an advocate, but as a reflection of the children we often overlook, children who speak through the pain of their stories." The committee members raised eyebrows. Their curiosity was palpable. For the first time that day, she felt the momentum shifting slightly in her favor. She stepped forward, her voice growing steadier as she spoke of the single mother's testimony, the palpable desperation that reverberated in each word. Every child deserves more than statistics. They need support that recognizes their struggle, acknowledges their humanity. We cannot simply dissect numbers. We must embrace the stories behind them. Maya felt the surge of power within her, the mix of fear and resolve igniting a fervor she didn't know she possessed. As she detailed her strategies, the narrative lost its clinical tone and transformed into a symphony of hope. With each word, she was stripping away layers of doubt, revealing a core built on resilience, tenacity, and the very essence of community. However, as she spoke, Maya noted the glimmer of skepticism in some faces, and she recognized the fragility of her situation. If they dismissed this chance, would she be able to rally her newfound community again? Would they trust her enough to stand beside her through potential failures? Yes, she needed allies. But at this moment, she depended solely on her conviction. Just as the committee chairman raised a hand to interrupt, she pressed on louder. "This will not be a fleeting discussion, or another abandoned initiative. I am here to reclaim not just voices, but also futures." The words clung to the air, electric and charged. "Whether we choose to act or not, I will be back," she stated, her breath catching for just a moment at the audacity of her claim. "I will continue to fight because these children's lives depend on it." An unexpected silence fell. She could feel the energy shift. But just as the flicker of hope ignited within her, the committee chairman's narrowed gaze pierced straight through her, the challenge lingering in his eyes. And, against that backdrop, the notion of victory felt as fragile as a wildflower bending in the wind. Would her courage spark a revolution, or crush her spirit under their scrutiny? The answer danced just out of reach as uncertainty loomed, a reminder that the final act of this confrontation had yet to come. As Maya stepped out of the conference room, her heart still raced, adrenaline propelling her through the sterile hallway. The tension that had filled the air moments ago lingered around her, but she now clutched a sense of purpose, raw, unfocused, but undeniably there. Each footfall echoed her resolve, reminding her of the commitment she had just spoken into existence. Dissonance surged within her, a mix of triumph and paralyzing fear. Was she truly ready to face the backlash? To become the figure she had just vowed to be? The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, bathing her surroundings in a harsh glow that mirrored her inner turmoil. She couldn't escape the committee chairman's scrutinizing gaze, a challenge that whispered through the shadows of her mind. Would they see failure in her determination? She had committed herself to this journey, yet the specter of prior disappointments haunted her thoughts. The sun transformed the sterile lighting as she exited the building, a warm embrace feigning camaraderie. Outside, she leaned against the cool stone of the building, allowing the breeze to cushion her agitation, a momentary reprieve. Maya's internal dialogue flared with questions. What will they think next? Do I even have the resources to back my claims? What if I fail? The echo of the words she'd spoken in the meeting resurfaced. She had declared a desire to reclaim futures, but she barely grasped her own. Was it arrogance to believe she could disrupt the entrenched patterns of indifference? The failure of countless initiatives lingered as a stark reminder, threatening to diminish the fervor she had kindled. In that vulnerable space, her phone buzzed, breaking the trance of doubt pulling her deeper into despair. It was a message from Emma, a single mother she had interviewed for her proposal. Thank you for believing in us, Maya. It means the world. Maya's heart clenched, warmth radiating through her. Does belief really create change? She murmured aloud. Why had she let fear dictate her path for so long? In that moment, clarity surged. Her mission was not solely about numbers or lofty ideals. It was about connection, moving people's hearts, and leaving an indelible mark on those willing to share their stories. Determined, she opened her notebook. Each word she scribbled down aimed to reconcile her budding ambition with the fears gnawing at her confidence. Success is built on the foundation of failure. She repeated the phrase, hope battling doubt. Her writing transformed into a recognition of insights gleaned from past encounters, their raw authenticity drawn from shared experiences. She had witnessed the power of stories firsthand. Why had she doubted that power would resonate with the committee? There was another meeting approaching, and she could no longer sit in the shadows of doubt. Maya began mapping out a new strategy, one that harnessed the voices of the very people she sought to uplift. With each stroke of her pen, she distilled her thoughts, merging professional ambition with personal storytelling. This could be her moment, not just to present data, but to ignite empathy. As the day drew on, she felt reinvigorated, preparing for the steep climb ahead. The stakes had been raised, and while uncertainty abounded, so did potential. Clarity flickered within, a bright ember ready to ignite her next push. In the dimming light, she whispered a promise. I will gather their stories. I will give them life. And she would not falter in presenting that narrative again. But as she turned to leave, the committee chairman's words replayed, etching deeper into her psyche. What if he were right? Maybe she wasn't ready to face the full force of scrutiny. Not yet. With this thought looming, a new decision weighed upon her, the messenger shifting her trajectory. Should she approach someone with influence to amplify the voices she wished to protect? Or would that be seen as soliciting validation? The ball was now in her court, but the question remained. Would she gamble her burgeoning clarity for the chance of solidifying her footing, or hold on to it and risk everything she had begun to build? Time was running out, and the committee meeting was mere days away. Maya walked the city streets, the warmth of the sun intermingling with the chill of doubt still creeping at the edges of her mind. Each step felt like a small act of rebellion against the looming uncertainty that had followed her since the meeting. She navigated the bustling sidewalks, her notebook clutched tightly in one hand, her other brushing against the fabric of her ambitions. As she moved, the cacophony of the city enveloped her, a constant reminder of lives intertwined, stories being woven in real time. She felt an unusual camaraderie with the strangers around her. Perhaps it was the knowledge that each person had their own battles, each individual fighting to manifest their dreams, equally laden with fear, yet propelled by hope. Instead of retreating into anxiety, she chose to extend her thoughts beyond the trials that clamored within her. Stopping momentarily at a park, she unfolded her notebook once more, flipping through her earlier notes, scrawled in a hurried chaos of ideas and emotions. She could use the stories she sought to gather, but first, she realized, she needed to articulate her own. What was her story? The question hung in the air, resonating as if the wind itself were whispering it back to her. Amidst the city sounds, a small voice echoed, one of a child commanding the attention of people around him. He was animated, expressing something with the most passionate gesturing, yet words eroded into the hubbub. In that moment, Maya recognized something profound. The child's raw, uninhibited expression was a reflection of her own zeal. It wasn't merely about what she presented before the committee. It was about how she shared herself. Infused with newfound determination, she pulled her thoughts together, like threads ready to be stitched into a powerful narrative. She no longer felt the need to appease the scrutiny or drown out the voices of her peers. Rather, she could harness that urgency to reflect her truth and challenge the world to listen. What experiences had shaped her? What had ignited the fire within? These questions pushed her into a more open space, a realm of authentic connection. Maya began drafting a new outline, a presentation amalgamating her story and the stories of others like Emma. She saw the potential not only in presenting data and statistics, but in weaving personal anecdotes into the framework of her proposal. This could allow her to invite her audience into an intimate understanding of her mission. As she jotted down reflections and experiences, a significant revelation emerged. She had always been a storyteller. Whether it was relaying a pivotal moment from her own life or capturing the essence of someone else's struggle, storytelling was her strength. Her fear was not a deterrent. It could morph into an invitation for vulnerability. However, dark shrouds of hesitation still loomed as the memory of the committee chairman's gaze returned. What if her personal narrative was not enough? Would vulnerable storytelling translate into credibility? This thought sparked an internal battle. She needed more, and an advocate could provide the validation her voice craved. Approaching someone influential felt precarious, as if she were leaning too heavily on another's strength. Yet, what if that connection transformed her uncertainty into opportunity? The risk was tangible. An affirmation from an established figure could bolster her position. But would it diminish her authenticity? Maya paused, contemplating her next steps. The clock ticked menacingly in her mind, counting down the days until the committee meeting. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes, envisioning two paths. One led to the safety of her own careful yet restrained approach. The other shimmered with possibility, entwined with collaboration and potential advocacy. Opening her eyes, she resolved to step into the light of uncertainty. This was her moment to either remain within the confines of caution or to embark on a daring journey of self-advocacy and connection. Time was slipping away, and the decision loomed heavily. Who could she trust with her vulnerability? And how would that define her story? The stakes had been raised, and the moment for action was at hand. But could she muster the courage to reach out for support? Or was the call for authenticity too fraught with risks of its own? As she wrestled with the question, one thought crystallized. She needed to take control of her narrative before it slipped out of her grasp. In a world speeding toward the committee meeting, she understood the gravity of what was to come. Now it was time to safeguard her story, whether through her strength alone or with an advocate by her side. Maya paced the length of her apartment, the habitual motion weaving through the fragments of her thoughts. The soft glow of the lamps punctuated the early evening darkness, yet no warmth could rid the chill of doubt settling in her bones. She reached for her phone, letting the cool metal rest in her palm, a reminder of the connections she had yet to forge. Boldness felt necessary, yet fear grasped her heart like an unseen vice that tightened with each passing moment. Who could she approach? Questions spiraled in her mind, turning into a knot of indecision. She had spent hours seeing her narrative play out in countless ways, her desire to articulate truth battling against the weight of potential rejection. Every scenario played out vividly. What if she failed, or worse? What if they did not see her worth? Her determination wavered with each thought. Pushing away from the desk, Maya decided to lean into action. Silence weighed heavy, and too much contemplation would drown her resolve. She dialed Emma's number, heart pounding as she listened to the ringing. Maybe Emma would provide the insight she sought, or at least the affirmation that this path was not as treacherous as it appeared. After a few rings, Emma picked up, and Maya felt a comforting swell of familiarity in the sound of her friend's voice. "Hey, Maya. What's up?" "I need to talk," Maya replied, an edge of urgency weaving into her tone. "I'm at a crossroads and I don't know how to push forward." Emma paused, perhaps sensing the deeper turmoil beneath Maya's words. "Why don't you come over? We can hash this out together." Once she arrived at Emma's place, the welcoming atmosphere wrapped around Maya. It felt safe here, a stark contrast to the inner storm brewing. As they sat across from one another with mugs of herbal tea, the soothing warmth helped ease the tension in Maya's muscles. "I'm presenting my ideas to the committee soon, and I want to include my story. But I've been thinking maybe I need an advocate, someone influential to back me up," Maya shared, her voice quivering slightly. "But then I worry it could make me feel inauthentic." Emma leaned back, absorbing the intensity of Maya's concern. "You know, vulnerability can be powerful. You should focus more on your unique perspective. Your journey means something, Maya. Your story isn't diminished by seeking support. It can amplify it." "Yeah, but who do I approach?" Maya fumbled with her mug, feeling the weight of indecision bearing down on her. The thought of stepping into a circle of established figures made her stomach twist. There's so much at stake. Maybe look around. You'd be surprised how people resonate with genuine storytelling. Consider your network. What about that mentor you mentioned, Mr. Harris? Maya felt electric at the name. Mr. Harris, a well-respected figure in their field, was someone she respected deeply, but hadn't thought of approaching until now. His presence was intimidating, but Emma's confidence in her was a balm for her self-doubt. His insight could add validity to my presentation, but what if he doesn't believe in my vision? Maya questioned, her fear bubbling to the surface. Then you show him how much you believe in it. Don't anticipate rejection before giving him a chance. Emma's words rang true, nudging Maya to consider her inherent courage. Just as Mr. Harris had inspired her once, perhaps he could again. But first, she'd need to gather her courage to reach out. Determined, Maya made a mental note of her goal, while simultaneously quieting the self-sabotaging thoughts in the back of her mind. The act of preparing herself to approach Mr. Harris transformed hesitation into a tangible challenge, evoking a strange mix of anxiety and excitement. As their conversation shifted to lighter subjects, Maya could feel the embers of possibility igniting within her, urging her toward action. She would embrace this new connection, a catalyst that could either propel her forward or teach her resilience in its absence. Yet, as she left Emma's home, the intensity of her commitment flickered like a caught breath. What if Mr. Harris hadn't the time or inclination to help her? Just a few days remained before the meeting, and the fear of failure simmered beneath her resolve. But with renewed determination, she decided to draft an email to him that night. She would take control of her narrative, ushering her desires into existence. Once safely at home, fingertips hovering above the keyboard, a flood of thoughts coursed through her. Just as she began typing, an unfamiliar thought crept in. Would sharing her vulnerability stoke the flame of connection she desperately needed? Or would it extinguish under scrutiny? As she faced the crossroads of prospect and peril, one truth loomed over her. The next few hours could reshape everything she had worked for. Would she choose to unveil her heart and risk rejection, or retreat into a facade of safety? With a deep breath, Maya began to type, not yet aware of how this simple action would carve out a path for her story, one she could finally claim as her own. Maya sat in the quiet sanctuary of her room, the glow of her laptop illuminating her determined face. The email she had just drafted felt like the culmination of her inner turmoil, a tangible reflection of her courage. With every keystroke, she summoned her voice, acknowledging both her vulnerabilities and aspirations. "Dear Mr. Harris," she began, her fingers trembling slightly as she poured her heart into the screen. I am reaching out with a hope to share not just my ideas but my journey. I believe in crafting a program that resonates deeply with children like me, children who deserve a chance to reclaim their futures. As she typed, the barriers of self-doubt dissolved inch by inch. She felt empowered by the very act of articulating her truth, laying bare the intricate tapestry of her struggle, punctuated by the festering callousness of a system that had left her and countless others behind. Once the words flowed, she no longer hesitated. She detailed her vision for a nurturing environment, a space that merged personal storytelling and practical resources. It is not just about statistics. It's about illuminating the narratives that often go unheard, she wrote, her heart racing at the thought of what this could mean. Before she could overthink it, she hit send. An exhilarating flush of freedom washed over her. Perhaps it was the knowledge that she had stepped boldly into a new chapter, taking her narrative into her own hands after years of feeling like a cog in the system. Days blurred, as anticipation morphed into reality. Maya flung herself into her preparations for the second committee meeting, invigorated despite the remnants of anxiety swirling within her. Amongst these preparations, she received a surprising response from Mr. Harris, an invitation for coffee to discuss her project further. An electrifying thrill coursed through her veins. She had caught the attention of a figure she admired. On the day of their meeting, Maya adjusted her blouse, carefully selecting her presentation documents to bring along, a testament to the hard work and resilience she had cultivated. Each page was a promise, wrapped in the hope of reaching lives that echoed her own. When she arrived at the coffee shop, Mr. Harris greeted her with an encouraging smile. They settled into a cozy corner, surrounded by the comforting hum of conversation and the aroma of fresh brew. As the conversation unfolded, Maya managed to shed lingering nerves, driven by the intensity of her mission. "I admire your determination, Maya," Mr. Harris said, his eyes glinting with genuine interest. "It's not often that someone your age steps up to tackle such significant challenges. How do you envision the implementation process?" Maya spoke passionately, weaving her insights and the stories collected from others. As she spoke, she saw his approval flicker across his expressions. Each nod brought her closer to the acknowledgement she craved, not simply as a voice advocating for change, but as a key player in a narrative larger than herself. Their dialogue continued to flow as they explored potential collaborations and strategies to gain community support. Each moment felt like triumph against a world that had tried to stifle her light. "Your experiences can truly resonate with the committee. They need to see that this program isn't just another initiative," he encouraged. "It's a lifeline." As they wrapped up, Mr. Harris offered to leverage his connections to help amplify her voice in the next committee meeting. His support was instrumental, only enhancing her already burning resolve. A wave of gratitude surged within her. What once felt impossible was now within reach because of her willingness to ask for help. With Mr. Harris by her side, Maya felt an inextinguishable confidence swell. She had not only grasped her narrative, but had begun to weave it into a collaborative effort, restructuring the path ahead. She realized that vulnerability didn't mean weakness, but rather evolved into a conduit for empowerment. The day of the committee meeting arrived with an electric anticipation. Maya's heart thudded in her chest as she entered the room, a room she had once approached steeped in fear. But today, each step radiated confidence, bolstered by the supportive network she had fostered around her. Maya presented her vision, infused with personal stories, and the drive she had honed through every struggle. This time, she didn't just advocate for herself. She spoke on behalf of every child who felt confined by circumstance. Every story a critical thread woven into the larger narrative of change. As she concluded, the room erupted into applause, punctuated by a sense of recognition and shared responsibility. "Your dedication shines through, and we hear you," one member announced, exchanging glances of encouragement with the others. Maya felt a swell of accomplishment wash over her, their recognition almost transcending her expectations. She was no longer the girl searching for validation. She had become a force for change. With her personal narrative firmly established and supported by her community, Maya accepted their congratulations with grace and poise. She now stood on the precipice of a professional achievement that echoed her resolute journey. A scholarship program dedicated to empowering children like her would soon transform countless lives. As she stepped outside the building, the sunlight shimmered against the horizon. For the first time in a long while, she felt a profound sense of belonging and direction. She had not just refused to be defined by her past. She had conquered it and transformed it into a beacon for others. Maya's triumph was not merely a personal victory. It was a testament to the power of resilience, the clarity of vision, and the courage to step forth boldly into unknown realms. She had a narrative to uphold, a narrative that demanded to be shared. As she looked ahead, a wave of unwavering confidence coursed through her, grounding her newfound identity. The future stretched endlessly before her, each step forward a chance to ignite change, empowering not only herself, but those who dared to dream amidst their struggles. And now her story continued, hand in hand with countless others inspired to transform their destinies. Today marked the beginning of a legacy, a bright flame glowing fiercely in the face of adversity, illuminating paths for many generations to come. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.